Hey beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. How are you all doing? I hope you're doing amazing. So in this video, we are going back to Lithuania. Yes, I said back because before now, I let you in on things you should do before visiting or things you should know before visiting Lithuania. And in this one, I'll be giving you five shocks of Lithuania, basically. So you all, let's get to it, listen and react accordingly.
Travel guide style video for people new to Lithuania. More specifically, I wanted to go over some things that might be shockingly different for some people. I guess the theme or title of this video gets inspiration from Mark Walter of Walter's World and his series of travel videos about shocks of certain countries. Having lived in Lithuania at one point, Mark also has a 10 shocks of Lithuania video that you might want to check out.
And today what we have for you are the 10 things that are going to shock you about visiting Lithuania. And I'm not even talking about all the crosses behind me.
Now, I should say that Mark's video is much more surface level, which is great for tourists and short-term visitors. He talks about shocks like pink soup, superstitions, nature, etc. But for my version, I want to talk about things longer-term tourists and migrants might need to adjust to. Okay, well, it's already a long intro, but I do have to add one more thing. Now, all of this is relative. What's shocking for some may not be shocking for others. If you're coming from Latvia, there's probably quite little that will shock you. But if you're coming from somewhere like India, well, there will definitely be more shocks. So let's finally get started.
Okay.
The first thing that you might be shocked by is the amount of daylight you get, or don't get, during certain times of the year. Sure, during the summer you might see as much as 19 or even 20 hours of daylight, but it's going to be the exact opposite during the wintertime. A lot of people can be affected by this seasonal change. It's something that is made even worse with the clocks changing by an hour. One day you're having trouble sleeping because it's always bright outside, and before you know it, you're gonna leave for work in the dark and then finish your lunch break as the sun is starting to go down. It gets worse the more north you
Wow, really? I don't even live there, but I feel the dark season is not a funny time at all.
go. But even though Lithuania is the most southern country in the Baltics, you might still need to prepare yourself mentally and emotionally for those several months of darkness each year. Another big seasonal thing that may shock you
Several
is
months of
temperature.
darkness.
For those coming from warmer climates like South America, Africa, the Middle East, and India, experiencing those cold temperatures for the first time could definitely be a shock. It's even worse if your collection of clothing isn't suitable for cold, rainy, and snowy days. I'm always a fan of secondhand clothing stores, as it's the most affordable and sustainable way to dress warmly for winter. And then there's that added benefit of saving those items from going to the landfill. It's a win-win in my opinion. On the opposite side, for people coming from places like the United States, Canada, or the UK, you might think that Lithuania is constantly cold. Well, yes, it's a northern climate. We are in fact seeing longer and more intense summers. Whether it's blackout curtains, a strong fan, or air conditioning, just make sure your apartment or home is well equipped to handle those heat waves. Another shock newcomers might have is making friends. It's something that really depends on who you are, the life stage that you're in, and what your interests are. I was watching this one video by JJ McCullough about how there are things that people think of as being unique to a city that actually aren't. One of those things was cities being cold and unfriendly.
Have you ever noticed how hard it is to make friends here? Like, people in this city are just so cold and unfriendly, you know? The supposedly unfriendly character of your city has been the subject of endless articles in the local paper, as well as countless 800-word Facebook posts from some friend of your sister.
Well, on that theme, a lot of people will associate Vilnius as being a difficult city for making friends. But I also heard the same reputation when I lived in Edinburgh, Scotland. I think it is indeed just something that is part of city life, but it's also intensified by linguistic and cultural differences and stages of life. I think younger students studying in English-speaking programs will easily make friends with fellow students.
Yes,
but anyone
that's
outside
true,
of the
that's true.
academic system will need to try a little harder to connect. As a huge generalization, Lithuanians are most comfortable speaking Lithuanian to their Lithuanian friends. And so it's obviously going to be hard, or just impossible, to get into a social circle if you don't even speak the same language.
True.
Older people have jobs and families, and so this is another barrier for newcomers who may be single and unattached, but looking to connect with others of a similar age. At least in my city of Vilnius, I know that International House Vilnius is one organization that occasionally organizes events, while there are a few regular meetup groups that are very hospitable and welcoming to newcomers. So ultimately, if you're coming to Lithuania with a limited social network, don't be discouraged if you find it hard to make friends. It's just hard for everyone. Do some research, find things and groups that interest you, and you might eventually end up with a new friend after a year or two. Another thing to know about life in Lithuania is that Lithuanian websites sometimes have English versions. The thing you'll quickly learn is that the English version of a Lithuanian site is usually a ghost of the Lithuanian version. The English versions are sometimes old and outdated, while the Lithuanian side gets updated regularly. The two examples I'm quite familiar with are the VMI, the Tax Inspectorate website, and the Lithuanian postal site. Both organizations have English versions, but after a few clicks, you learn that the information you actually need is in a Lithuanian document or on a page that is not in English. Lithuania's postal site tries to overcome things with a Google auto-translate feature, but this doesn't actually get you very far. To the Lithuanians watching this, yeah, I guess it actually isn't a shock. After all, Lithuanian is the language of the country, and so you'll find all the necessary information in that language. But I do think it's important for non-Lithuanian speakers to know that they are going to be missing a lot of information if they rely only on the English versions of websites. So for all those foreigners, learn the language, and in the meantime, maybe get a Lithuanian-speaking friend to help you navigate those more complicated issues. Finally, this last one came up as a result of some guests visiting us. So they're coming from as far away as Canada and Australia, and they were so excited about planning a jam-packed Europe trip. They booked their long-distance flights to Vilnius with airlines like Lufthansa and Turkish Airlines, and I think they expected to be able to hop around the continent easily and cheaply from Vilnius. The thing is, Vilnius isn't that well connected to Europe. It has a small airport which is nowhere near as well connected as major cities like Amsterdam or Paris or even Warsaw. Now it's decently connected to the Baltic capitals, to some Scandinavian cities, and of course to London and Dublin. But that's about it. With low-cost airlines, flights might only take place 2 or 3 times per week, and they might not be as cheap as you think. So yeah, if you're hoping to hop around Europe while having a base in Lithuania, you'll need to plan things more carefully. Perhaps a series of one-way flights will be a lot more time and cost-effective than flying in and out of Vilnius. So that's it for my 5 shocks of Lithuania. As I said before, these things aren't unique to the country. It's colder and darker in Finland, and probably even more closed off socially. Other countries and their websites may have even more limited information in English, and might be even more isolated in terms of airline connections. But at the end of the day, if you're coming here to Lithuania, these are just some of the things you'll need to prepare yourself for. There are plenty of amazing things to see and experience, but those other challenges of a new land will still be there for you to adapt to. So, good luck. To wrap things up, the Lithuanian word of the day will be paruošimas, which means preparation. Paruošimas. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
I learned something. This is really informative. I mean, I've learned something, paruošimas, preparation, and I got to know that most of their food items have translations in English, which I think is something really nice because, I mean, for someone visiting, you will be able to get what you want. So, you all, I hope you learned something, one or two from this. Let me know if this is something you will want to see more often, like you want to see more of contents like this. Give this video a thumbs up, share it, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video. Have fun. Bye.